Generally in folk music, the melodies are older than the words, because these tunes travel through history and each generation takes them and applies new words to them, because parody is one of the strongest forces in folk music, and it always has been through the centuries. So I'll take an old American tune that most people know, and I'll show you how it's traveled through the American centuries here. A lot of us grew up with this one. It was first published on a piece of paper back in 1915. I grew up with it, and you probably did too. It went like this. It went, "The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. She ain't what she used to be. She ain't what she used to be. The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be many long years ago." And my mentor, Sam Hinton, grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and when he was a little kid, he learned a lot of parodies to this song, and most of them you can't really repeat in public, but I think I can probably sing this one. It went like this. "The old gray mare went swimming in the Delaware in her yeller underwear and said she didn't give a care. The old gray mare went swimming in the Delaware many long years ago." Tune's been around for quite some time. You know, when I was a little boy down in the South in Alabama, there were some very courageous people who thought that the schools should no longer be segregated, and integration was a pretty radical concept at the time. And when you have a radical cause, you need a radical folk song. So they took that tune, "The Old Gray Mare," and they made up some words to it, and they made a civil rights song out of it. And so here's what they were singing in Alabama half a century ago. "I ain't scared of your jail because I want my freedom. I want my freedom. I want my freedom. Ain't scared of your jail. I want my freedom now. I would walk a picket line because I want my freedom. I want my freedom. I want my freedom. I'd walk a picket line. I want my freedom now." The tune's been around for quite some time, you know. Back in 1860, when Abraham Lincoln was running for president, he wasn't a member of the two popular parties. He was a member of that third party, that radical Republican Party, the anti-slavery party. And even though he had only served one term in Congress, which by today's standards would be very little experience for a Washington insider, Abraham Lincoln was recognized as one of the great presidents of the United States. And when he ran for president in 1860, they took this tune and they made a campaign song out of it, and it went like this. "Old Abe Lincoln come tearing up the wilderness, tearing up the wilderness, tearing up the wilderness. Old Abe Lincoln come tearing up the wilderness, way down in Illinois. Ain't I glad I joined the Republicans, joined the Republicans, joined the Republicans. Ain't I glad I joined the Republicans, way down in Illinois." Well, you know, after he'd won during the American Civil War, they made up a few more verses to the song, and it went like this. "Old Jeff Davis tried to tear down the government, tear down the government, tear down the government. Old Jeff Davis tried to tear down the government many long years ago. And old Abe Lincoln had to come build it up again, come build it up again, come build it up again. Old Abe Lincoln had to come build it up again many long years ago." The tune's older than that, you know. Back before the American Civil War down in the Oklahoma Territory, they had a Christian religion that proscribed that you could not dance, but that didn't exactly keep anybody from dancing. They invented this thing called a play party, and at a play party, you could have music, and while the music was playing, you could move your arms, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, you've already figured it out. It was a heck of a lot like dancing. So here's what they were dancing to the play parties down in Oklahoma 150 years ago. Went like this. "The first little lady come in the wilderness, come in the wilderness, come in the wilderness. First little lady come in the wilderness down in Galilee. Hands up round my lady, round my lady, round my lady. Hands up round my lady down in Galilee." Now, as different and as similar as all these variants of the Old Gray Mare may be, they all share a common ancestor, an old African-American spiritual from the Georgia Sea Islands, first published on a piece of paper back in 1867, but it's a lot older than that. Listen to this old black spiritual and tell me if you can hear that Old Gray Mare tune in its earliest form. "I'll wait upon the Lord, I'll wait upon the Lord. I'll wait upon the Lord, my God, to take away the sins of the world. If you want to be a Christian, gotta go in the wilderness, go in the wilderness, go in the wilderness. Morning, brother, go in the wilderness and wait upon the Lord. Afflicted sister, go in the wilderness, go in the wilderness, go in the wilderness. Morning, brother, go in the wilderness and wait upon the Lord." The Old Gray Mare, traveling through 200 years of American folk song.